and I will offer some wisdom from The Lord of the Rings. In The Lord of the Rings, by J.R.R. Tolkien, Frodo and Gandalf talk about the rise of Sauron's evil empire and their quest to destroy the Ring of Power. Frodo says, "I wish it need not have happened in my time." "So do I," replies Gandalf, "and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us." And later in the book, when Frodo doesn't think he can carry the ring any further, his dear companion, Samwise Gamgee, responds that it's like in the great stories they heard as children. There was always danger and seemingly insurmountable odds. But in the end, he says, it's only a passing thing, this shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines, it will shine out the clearer. Folk in these stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't, because they were holding on to something. Frodo says, "What are we holding on to, Sam?" And Sam says, "That there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for." Yesterday, I took a quiet walk down a country lane near my house, a quiet lane that runs past fields and gardens and livestock pens. I walk this road I know well because my heart needed solitude, needed open space, needed familiar, peaceful beauty. At one point on that quiet lane, I awoke the dogs who dozed in the front yard, the fenced front yard of a house. Pretty soon I had 3 hefty boxers barking at me through the gate. On the other side of the street, in a freshly mown field, lay 4 mule deer, serene but wary of the dogs and me, perhaps hoping that we would go away and leave them in peace. And I thought, this feels familiar. It feels familiar to have loud barking on one side and wishful thinking on the other. I thought how grateful I was that the barking of the president-elect and his supporters is, for now at least, tethered, restrained. I thought how much most citizens just want to be left in peace and comfort. I thought about what might happen when the aggressors are unleashed. And I thought about my own path through a world that I've had the privilege of seeing as peaceful and beautiful, toward a destination that I assumed would bring more of the same. I tried to consider this outcome in the run-up to election. I really did, but I didn't do a very convincing job of it. And now I'm going through a range of emotions, from overwhelm and disappointment to grief, to rage, to fear, both for myself and for so many marginalized communities in this country who don't have my privileges. And of course, I'm wondering what to do, how to respond to this time. In times such as these, the general wisdom I'm hearing says that the first thing to do is feel the feelings, whatever they are. To stay in touch with our bodies and our emotions. If you were able to name your feelings this morning, name what your tears are for this morning, I'm glad for you. Keep at it. It is important that we do this so that we don't take out our feelings on other people or ourselves. Then I encourage you to practice grounding yourself in whatever way you do. My walk yesterday was a grounding practice for me. I let nature hold me and remind me that I am held in love. And I rooted myself in that love with a faith that I will find ways to be of use, just as each of you will. We say that love is the center of our faith. That is, we have faith that love is present, even when we can't see or feel it, and that it is motivating us. We agree to actively participate in that love, not a weak, sentimental love, but a fierce, compassionate love that puts us to work, building the just, equitable, pluralistic world that we dream of. Friends, in the coming day, we are going to be called to do even more, to unleash that fierce love in ways both large and small. Sometimes it may look like speaking truth to power. Sometimes it may look like binding up the broken. And sometimes it may look like the small kindnesses on days when we really don't feel like it. Because I believe, as the poet says, that these fleeting moments of connection are the true dwelling of the holy, these fleeting temples we make together. In times like these, we need to be kind to one another. Give each other as much grace as we can, because we need each other to rekindle and reflect our light, to hold our grief and anger and tears, and to find our courage to love, to take our love on the road. My colleague, Molly Hausch-Gordon, writes, I think humans in Western cultures often need to feel like there is an upward arc to history and some promised arrival in order for there to be meaning in our lives. But the place where we are going is just around the sun on a miracle of a planet. And I want to tell you that we are alive, still alive, in a world that is so beautiful and so brutal all at once, and always has been. And it is all drenched in meaning no matter where it's headed. And it matters that we love each other well, and that we drink up the beauty and resist the brutality. It matters. The world is ending and beginning now, she says. We are surviving now. Let us love, let us connect, let us fight like hell for the dignity of each and all. On that country lane yesterday, I acknowledged the barking dogs, dogs I have encountered before and will certainly encounter again. And though I kept a respectful distance, I greeted them, reminding them that we are neighbors. And I murmured calmly to the deer, hoping they would not see me as a threat equal to the dogs. I can't turn my back on the danger or those who would be most harmed. I and we must continue toward a future that may look very different than the one we have imagined, with a faith that we can make a difference, and that there is something worth fighting and loving for. May it be so. Amen.